No tax on tips is officially signed into law. And I'm not a tax professional, I'm just a server, but I want to share my thoughts and understandings of what this bill does, what it doesn't do, and what it means for us in this business. What does no tax on tips actually do? Well, it is a tax deduction, essentially reducing the amount of tips that you pay taxes on by up to $25,000. So essentially the first $25,000 that you make in tips in any calendar year don't get taxed at all. And then anything that you make beyond $25,000 gets taxed as normal. For most people, this is going to be a tax savings of about $500 to $2,000. And you'll see that when you file your taxes. If you would normally get a tax return, that return will be larger by about $500 to $2,000. And if you normally owe taxes at the end of the year, that liability should be reduced by that same $500 to $2,000. The provision covers cash tips, but that really just means money. It's cash in your hand, but it's also credit card tips or tips that get paid through an app like Uber Eats, DoorDash, or Ziosk. It covers direct tips and indirect tips. Direct tips are given to you as a bartender or server. Those are fully covered. But if you're a tipped out position like a barback, food runner, host, busser, or cook, those tip outs that you receive are covered as well. The provision is good for 4 years and it goes back to January 1st of this year. So it qualifies for 2025, but also 2026, 27, and 28 unless it gets extended. And it will leave all of your tips on your pay stubs and on your W-2, which is hugely important for income verification. If you need to provide pay stubs for proof of income for an apartment or a car or a house, you'll still have those on your pay stubs for proof. What does no tax on tips not do? Well, it doesn't affect your wages. Your wages will still get taxed as normal. Whether you're in a full minimum wage state or in a sub minimum wage state, you'll still pay the taxes on your wages. There is a separate provision in this bill though for overtime, so if you're working a lot of hours, over 40 hours a week, you will get a little additional help. No tax on tips only covers federal income tax. So if you have any state or local taxes that you pay, you'll still pay those, and everyone will still pay the Medicare and Social Security taxes on all of their tips as normal. It also doesn't cover involuntary tips. So if your restaurant adds an automatic gratuity for a banquet or for a larger size party, or if they add a service charge to any or all of their checks, none of those get covered in this bill. It's also not going to affect your paychecks from week to week. Because it's a tax deduction, you'll see the effect of it in your taxes when you file next year. But you filed a W-4 when you got hired that tells your job how much to set aside for taxes, and you can try filing a new W-4 if you want to see that money little by little through your paychecks instead of all at once when you file your taxes at the end of the year. So what does no tax on tips mean for our business? Well, for a lot of people, it's a really big help. 90% of tipped employees make less than $60,000 a year. So it might not be a huge amount, but it comes at a time when people are struggling, and this will have a positive impact for a lot of people. But there are some unintended consequences as well. We as tipped employees now pay a different and lower tax rate than non-tipped employees, even within the same restaurant. So your tax rate is now lower than your managers or maybe lower than your cooks as well. So any discussion of this, especially inside the restaurant, should be handled with a lot of grace and understanding. It's also singled out our business because tip creep is a real thing, and tipping has become a pervasive part of a lot of businesses where it didn't exist 5 or 10 years ago. And there's a large movement of people who are against tipping and pushing back as a whole, and this has given them a lot of ammunition. So be prepared to see some people tipping less or not at all in response to this bill. Overall, I think no tax on tips will help some people who are really struggling, but we do need a bigger solution. I would love for you to check out One Fair Wage. They're a nonprofit organization that's working to get rid of the sub-minimum wage. Get rid of those $2.13 an hour states and bring everyone up to at least that $7.25 federal minimum. That way we can all provide for ourselves and for the people that we love.